WOT Blitzers, it's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, June 2nd, which means time for another store review. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this Season 1 Retrobia event, which is kind of interesting. We've seen some of these events where you've got to grind in order to get free tanks, quote unquote, free tanks. But this one's interesting. This one is for an entire season, 90 days. 3 months. I don't think we've ever seen an event last quite this long. As you can see, I've already got the magnet, and we'll talk about that in just a second because look how many upgrades there are in order to get to the tier 8 fixer. And then that repeats with all of these upgrades to get to the regressor. And then on top of that, you've got all of these upgrades to get onto the tank. That's totaling up to, for me right now, over 73,000 kit coins. If we wanted to speed that up, that's 73,000 gold. All right, anyway, so how do you get kit coins? Keep in mind, this is a 3-month event. So Operation Battle Pass is going to get you 3,900. We've got 3 months, so multiply that by 3. There's going to be events and quests, and we've got a quest going on right now that I think is 5 days long, and I'll point that out here in a second. You can get them from purchases in the store, your clan missions, and keep in mind that there's 10 levels to each clan week, missions that need to get completed. So if you're in an active clan, you're going to get all 320 of those. If your clan is not active and you do your part for that week, you're probably not going to get all 320, and I'll show you that. That's going to be my case here. You're going to get 500 per week for ratings battles, and I thought this was interesting. I did a few rating battles yesterday, but not enough even to get calibrated, so I was even getting those for non-calibrated games. And then, of course, last tier is tournaments. So let's look here. So here's one of the quests. As you can see, it's simply fight 15 battles. Win or lose, doesn't matter. So yesterday, it looks like I played, I don't know, 11 or 12 battles there. And so you're going to get those kit coins there. Also with the battle pass, as we saw before, there's only 1,300 above the line, which is free to everybody. And if you want to get the ones on the bottom here, you have to buy the battle pass. And they've kind of changed that. Also, $8 for the battle pass. There's no license. They kept those separate before. They're now combined into one. So when you go into your missions, you automatically have the ability to replace. And if you're going to do this to the best in order to maximize what you're going to get out of it, you want to get one of these to 2 and then hit replace and replace it. I typically do it on this one because it's the easiest of them all. And the reason for that is when you get to the end, you should be able to have maximized those crates at the end and get an additional couple crates at the end here. You'll be able to get one extra one out of that if you do that. All right, and so then I wanted to talk about the magnet and the tank. Here's the tank, but if we go to upgrades, you can see here, starting from the gun, you've got this kind of snake-like pattern in order to get all of the upgrades. And I'm not a big fan of taking a tank out that doesn't have, you know, the top-of-the-line gun and turret and whatnot. So this is kind of interesting. I haven't really seen anything quite like this before. Essentially, it's $1 gold per kit coin, so that would be 7,600 gold if I wanted to just go ahead and maximize that out right now. So I'm just obviously going to wait. This is a 90-day event and see where I finish out. Now, one of the other things was you can get them in the store. Right now, you saw that I had the gold box here. This is usually one of the best deals around. I haven't been spending much money in Blitz, and so my gold box here is a lot lower. I can't remember, it was usually like 16,000 or something. But anyway, you've got to fill it up by doing damage, and then you can purchase that here. But again, to me, this isn't even a good enough deal for me to recommend at this point in time. All right, so let's jump in. There's that premium pass for $8. We've got the Blasteroid, which is a previous battle pass tank, essentially just a TOG 2 that you can purchase there for $8. There's the extended pass that's going to get you the 20 free levels. $24, kind of expensive there. So I feel like if you get in early here with the battle pass, you can finish everything without having to worry about it. TD containers, we're not going to talk about. We will talk about subscription. $3.50 essentially works out to be just about 1,000 gold per dollar. Best deal in the store right now. Also going to come with 585 kit coins and 14,000 free XP. Just remember, if you do purchase this, you have to log in every single day. If you don't log in for the day, you lose the ability to claim the gold and XP for that specific day. So just keep in mind, even if you don't even have to play about it. Just come in, hit claim, take your gold, XP, and close your app, and come back tomorrow. Before we leave, let's talk about the Object 777 because there's two different types of containers here. You've got this one that comes with nothing but the container and the kit coins, kind of really expensive here. This is a tier 10 tank. The other one I think we saw last week here, which is your standard. This is actually for gold and not dollars. And I believe it was a 5% chance of getting this tank. There's some chance of getting gold in return, but not a whole lot. So I wouldn't count on a high haul of gold either. Heard some good things about this tank, but I don't know enough about it really to talk in detail at this point in time. The WZ111 Model 5A is for sale, and there's two ways you can get it. I'm just talking about it because there's this option here with the container, which is $18 and a 25% chance of getting, 20% chance of getting the tank, and 80% chance of getting 5,000 gold. 5,000 divided by 18 works out to be 277 gold per dollar. Not a great deal, but then you're taking that risk reward of potentially coming away with another tier 10 heavy tank for only $18, which would be a good deal. Or you can buy it straight up for 20,000 gold. We'll talk about the G-SOAR here when we get down to the tank section. So let's first start here. Let's see. I hope we are. Yep, it's down here. All right, we're going to talk about it because I've got some really nice things to say about this tank. Anyway, AMX 30B T10 medium French tank. Great tank. Not one of the top medium tanks out there at tier 10, but this is still a very serviceable tank. I love the mobility on the tank. Let's see here. 10 degrees of gun depression, 62 kilometers per hour top speed. The cupola on the top is not nearly as bad as it looks. I mean, yeah, it is a weak spot. Nice rounded turret. It's going to get you some bounces playing hold down at that 10 degrees of gun depression. Rest of it is standard medium, not much armor, but good mobility, good gun accuracy. 17.5 is what we typically see the price for a tier 10, so not a great price, not a bad price. Would be wonderful if those 5Xs weren't tied to this tank itself. So this I'm on the fence about. Not a great deal, not a horrible deal either. The FCM 36. We've got 25 gold boosters, which is a minimum 250 gold, maximum of 500 gold, 780 on the kit coins, and 10 5X that applies to all tanks. So if you do buy this, please make sure you use those 5X boosters on tanks that you are grinding in the tech tree, or else you're not maximizing the value. You've got an order here to win 10 battles. It's just for one mystery crate. And 7 days of premium time, and a French crate with a 10% drop chance. So a lot of goodies tied with this. And we've seen these lower tier, this is tier 3 tank destroyer. It's super slow. Armor is trash. It's not a great tank to play. It is a little different. If that's what you're looking at, you sell this for 950 gold. $5, that works out to be 190 gold per dollar. So it's a horrible deal if you're looking at it in that regard. Dicker Max. I am surprised at how fun this tank is, to be honest with you. Don't play a lot of it, tier 6, but this tank is super mobile. Let's go see. You've got 15 degrees of gun depression, which is great for working on hills. And you've got a 40 kilometer per hour on top speed. 16 is your power to weight ratio. It's a fun little tank, considering you're going to get the 10.5x downside that they apply only to the Dicker Max. You're going to get 14 days of premium time and all 9 slots for 2,000 gold. Is not a bad deal. It's a fun tank. I don't think you'd be disappointed with it. And you know, it's a collector tank, so you're going to get some nice credit coefficient with it as well. We already talked about the WZ, so we'll talk now here briefly about the AMX and the Lorraine. I talked about this last week, so I'll go just briefly on these two tanks here. Lorraine 40T is the French medium tank. It's got great speed on it, surprisingly enough, for as big as it is, 60 kilometers per hour. It's a 4-shell autoloader. Not a lot to write home about as far as armor goes, but very unique in the sense of 4-shell autoloader. But I've talked about this kind of at length. Don't want to go into too much detail. Really have to, you know, 2.5 seconds. That's 7.5 seconds in order to empty that clip. It's a long time to be on target or to have a target to shoot at. So a lot of times you're sitting there with one or two shells left, and you're like, do I force a reload or do I not? The other is the French heavy tank. Great armor frontally. Once you get to the sides, it's pretty suspect. It is on the slower side as far as heavies goes, but there we go. 10 degrees of gun depression, 40 kilometers per hour is your top speed. I like this as a bundle together. You got 2 tier 8s for 11,000 gold, and 2 very interestingly different tanks that will probably fit into your garage and or play style quite nicely. So I do have a recommendation on purchasing that. Not going to talk about the Krupp. We did talk about the Vindicator and the Predator together. I think that's way too much. If I had to pick one or the other, I would go with the Vindicator just because of its fun factor, I guess you would call it. You know, let's look on this. 88 HE pen. It's 900 damage, 640 for your AP pen. So fun little tank there to play. But again, you know, 15 bucks. Take it or leave it, quite honestly. Fire and Ice, only a few days left. Not really going to go into detail. 7,500 is a reasonable price just for a tier 8 alone, so you're getting the tier 7 with it. The Glacial has very good armor profile, in my opinion. Plays nice and low with a nice rounded turret hull down. Gun control you a few times, but outside of that, not a bad tier 8 heavy tank, but so many tanks like that in playstyle, so not sure if it would be unique to you and your garage. Blaze, on the other hand, is a tier 7, not fully rotational turret. I can't remember if it was 40 degrees left and right here. 8 degrees of gun depression, nice big gun on it, doing 400 average damage. So some fun, unique things about this tank, especially at tier 7. Nice little throw into that bundle for 7,500 gold, or maybe just pick up the Blaze there for 3,000. Not bad. All right, so what I really wanted to talk about today was the G-Sword, which I purchased last week. And I said, you know, this is a pretty steep price for the tank. You can buy this one for 12,500 as the camo and the 3 mystery crates. Not sure you're going to get much out of the mystery crates. And then just the plain Jane G-Sword here with no camo or anything, 10,000 gold. All right, so what I noticed about this tank, I think it sits in the top 5 tanks right now as far as win rate. And the fact that I love about it is 2-shell autoloader, 2.5 seconds between those 2 shots. Hesh is going to be the primary ammo that you want to use. Really going to help you, teach you, make you learn where to aim to get those full hesh pens. But when you do 440 damage, that's 880 in 2.5 seconds. You can pull back, reload. It's got a fully rotational turret. One thing that has kind of held me back a little bit, took a little bit of getting used to, only 9 degrees of gun elevation. So if you get yourself on a little bit of a downslope, it's hard to look up. That comes into play more frequently than you may imagine. The gun is not super accurate. You can see here at 0.301, which doesn't necessarily lend it to be a kind of a sniping back of the map tank destroyer. I've been playing it more aggressively, not trying to get too far out in front of my team, but I've really enjoyed playing this. It had some big games in it, 4,000, 5,000 damage battle games in it quite easily because of that hash damage that you can do. So 10,000 still a little high, but it is a really good tank, and I don't expect this ever to come below 8,500. So really only a 1,500 difference. That's the reasoning there is that's what we've seen Chimera at for forever. And of course, we talked last week about the gold going up in price, and we're using 640 gold per dollar as a good deal or a bad deal in store. So that's going to round out the store review. Not sure if we're going to make it up today or maybe I'll go up on Saturday, but I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.